What's up, all my movie-loving maniacs? This your boy Bangful B, and welcome back to the Lassiter Factor Halloween movie review special. The special where I review nothing but spooky-related movies for the Halloween season. And with Welcome to Derry coming to HBO this weekend, I have been going back and rewatching the previous adaptations of Stephen King's It. And now I am finally at the final chapter of the film adaptation, It Chapter 2. So, let's review. And also, quick side note, let me be clear. I have not read the actual book, It, by Stephen King. So if any problems that I've had with my previous reviews for the other adaptations, and if your quick response is to comment in the book, just basically refer to this bit right here that I have not read the book. So if there's anything in the book that I either didn't like or didn't understand, then please kindly and respectfully correct me. So, It Chapter 2 is the second part of this two-part saga of the Pennywise saga, if you want to call it that. But basically, this chapter focuses on the kids as adults, in which Pennywise has returned. He basically goes away for 27 years and he comes back. And so, all the kids are returned back to Derry so that they can take out Pennywise one last time. Now, I love chapter one, but chapter two, I always had issues with, mainly because it was just too long and too bloated and just tried to do too much for its own good. But I still enjoyed it at times. But if you ask me, I prefer chapter two of the miniseries than I do of the movie. But how do I feel about this movie years later after seeing it in the theaters? I'll tell you what I liked, what I didn't like, and what I'm split on. First and foremost, I do like the adult versions of the kids. I thought the casting was of this was spot on. Like for example, Beverly, I liked Lily Phyllis as the kid version of Beverly, though I kind of thought naturally they would get Amy Adams to play the adult version of her, but they got Jessica Chastain, which isn't a bad choice, and she did an excellent job here. James McAvoy, who plays Bill, I thought was pretty decent. Now, for Ben, I thought the kid casting for him was excellent, but my only issue with the adult version was I always just thought like, so you're telling me that this chubby kid is gonna turn out to be like him. But then after watching it, I'm like, okay, I can accept it a little bit more. And then Bill Hader as Richie, I thought was excellent. And then you got Isaiah Mustafa, the Old Spice guy, playing not Ben, Mike Hanlon. All the adult versions of the kids did excellent, and they did a good job basically matching the kids. And I just like seeing how their lives turned out since the events from when they were kids and how their traumas basically affect them as adults. And now for the things that I'm split on. And they did bring back the kids and sprinkle in some more flashback scenes about them among this movie, which I'm totally fine with just to give it that continuity. I just always thought that chapter two would just focus solely on the adults and we would not go back to the kids, but I'm fine with this. The only issue is that this movie was filmed a couple of years after the first film, so the kids, they did grow up and they had to do some digital de-aging for them, which I thought was a bit noticeable. Look, I'm all for gay representation, but at the same time, I feel like making Richie a closeted gay. Look, again, I'm for it, but I just feel like they just did this for the sake of doing it. It didn't really add anything other than just feeding on Pennywise's fear of him just coming out. Feel like the middle section of this movie is what made this movie longer than it needed to be, in which they are going their little side quest to find items that pertain to their childhood and their traumas, in which it'll help them defeat Pennywise. Ending didn't really do it for me, and by the ending I mean the climax in which they all defeat Pennywise, who at this point has become some big giant half clown half alien turtle thing, which I do think it's a slight improvement over the ending of the miniseries, but at the same time, if that's how it is in the book, it was just gonna look ridiculous either way. Pennywise was both a positive and a thing that I was split on in chapter one, and now he's just a thing that I'm split on in chapter two. When he does have its moments, but at the same time, and Bill Skarsgård, to his credit, he does clock in the work. But at the same time, I feel like there's somewhat less of an emphasis on him in terms of him being scary, and he's almost like an afterthought because the movie does do a good job of focusing on the adults. For the things I didn't like, I mean, I said it earlier. I feel like this movie is too long for no reason, and the middle section is part of that reason. So that is a huge negative for me. And then, like I said, I do know that this is chapter two of the book, and it is basically tying into everything that happened in chapter one, which I do like, but at the same time, it did feel like, all right, it's time for its greatest hit. So remember the drain that Georgie got killed in? Hey, remember the multiple doors they had to choose? Hey, remember Beverly's trauma? So thing I do think the miniseries has over the movies is that the movies address Bill Denborough's wife, Audra. They do a good job of incorporating her, and maybe it's in the book, maybe it's not, but at the same time, they have less of an emphasis on Audra in this movie, and it just focuses on the love triangle between Ben, Bill, and Beverly. I just now realized they all have the same name with the letter B. Felt like the love triangle, it did kind of bring the movie down, and they don't really go anywhere with it, and it was just going to end up in the same place that it did in the book and the miniseries. So why did we do this? And they could have just added Bill's wife Audra into the story, which I thought was a good aspect from the miniseries. And I do think it chapter two is a bit of a mixed bag, but I still enjoyed it at times, and it was a nice way to wrap everything up and a nice little companion piece to chapter one. Give it chapter two a very low thumbs up emoji. For the day, have you seen it chapter two? If so, let me know what you think in the comment section below, and let me know what you like more, it chapter one, it chapter two. Do you like them both equally? And again, how do you rank this movie among chapter one and the mini series? Let me know in the comment section below. Boy, Bankful B of the Lassiter Factor. Stay safe, wash your hands, and be on the lookout for more spooky related movies for the Lassiter Factor Halloween special.